Hi there and welcome to another car cleaning guru video where I'll be sprucing up the tired old engine bay of this relatively rare 22-year-old Toyota Celica GT-Four. Although the body of the WRC inspired beast had recently been repainted to a high standard, the 2-litre turbo lump was seriously letting the side down, what with years worth of ingrained grease and grime, as well as unsightly overspray contaminating its various components. So it was decided a thorough clean and light enhancement was in order to bring it back up to par with the rest of the car and allow the owner to pop the bonnet and show off his shiny bits at a few upcoming meets. Before any of that took place though, certain potentially problematic parts had to be covered with plastic to prevent water from seeping in and damaging the power plant. Every car is different, but here I made sure to cover the exposed air filter, alternator and various electrical connections, as well as blocking up the blow-off valve to prevent any embarrassing wet farts. I also bunged up the bonnet vents with a few generic microfibre towels to try and reduce the amount of cleaning overspray contaminating the front of the freshly painted car. For the bulk of degreasing on this motor, I went with good old Gunk, specifically the natural green version, as its gentle biodegradable ingredients are perfectly safe for use on all surfaces. However, the real reason for picking it up was of course the manly metal tin it comes in. It was decanted neat into a trigger spray with a foaming head which would hopefully serve to extend its dwell time a little, before being liberally applied to the dusty underside of the bonnet and worked in with a couple of soft bristled brushes, details of which you'll all be pleased to hear can be found in the description. Once thoroughly worked in, the degreased paintwork was rinsed off at a reduced pressure to prevent any damage being caused to the freshly painted edges, before the process was repeated for the engine itself. The Gunk's instructions state to simply brush the cleaner directly onto the dirty part, and while I'm sure this would work just fine, discharging it through a foaming trigger spray instead helped produce a nice thick lather to work with. It was left to sit on the soiled surface for a few minutes to begin breaking the dirt down, prior to being attacked with various soft bristled brushes to really get into all the dirt, nasty nooks and crannies. As I hoped it would, the degreaser quickly cut through the unsightly pink overspray, which had initially made the whole area appear a lot worse than it actually was, but it also did a decent job at lifting out the deeper dirt that lurked beneath the superficial body shop dust. Moving methodically around the Celica's engine, I reapplied the green gunk as necessary to ensure all working areas were kept wet, and there's no use being shy here. You've got to get stuck in, get your hands dirty, and only when you're satisfied all areas have seen a thorough going over should you abandon the bristles and give the bay one final rinse off. Gunkification complete then, it was time to coat all the freshly cleaned underbonnet surfaces with a water-based dressing to lightly enhance and protect them. While the engine components were given some time to soak in the rejuvenating dressing, the underside of the bonnet was attended to with a clean dry microfibre towel which served to simultaneously dry and dress it. The lingering product was then thoroughly worked into all areas of the engine with a clean, soft detailing brush where necessary, before being dried and buffed over with another fresh microfibre towel to leave a much improved finish. Once all areas were dry, a more durable dressing was spritzed over a few parts to further enhance their appearance. On new cars this isn't normally necessary, but older vehicles with ageing plastics and rubbers benefit from it in addition to the main bulk of water-based dressing. Although this was only a light spruce up, the tarnished epoxy strut brace, despite being clean, still stood out like a sore thumb, and so a quick polish was undertaken with some fine wire wool to remove the majority of the staining and restore at least a little bit of shine back into the piece. A mechanical polish would have been much better, but with the car also needing a bath and my hunched over back now starting to suffer, this was all I could offer it here. The GT-Four was then thoroughly washed and dried to remove the considerable amount of excess overspray and product residue that contaminated the fresh paintwork, and a good few hours plus many pairs of disposable gloves later, I was left with a relatively presentable looking 3S GTE motor. There were clearly still areas that needed further attention, but for a single sitting the Celica lump certainly looked a whole lot better than it did at the beginning of the day. All of the unsightly pink overspray and paint splatters were now gone. The majority of the ingrained grease and grime had been eliminated. The shiny bits now looked at least a little bit shinier, and the whole engine bay in general looked presentable and well cared for, which of course meant the pop in the bonnet would no longer be an embarrassment. As always, thanks for watching. Details of the products used can be found in the description below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to show some support for me getting my hands dirty for free, and in return I'll ensure I keep hitting that upload button.